B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We are back continuing our series, Avodah Zarah, the Era of Mashiach. We are up to part 29. Tonight's shiur, B'ezrat Hashem, is definitely going to be one of those explosive shiurim that will wake up quite a few neshamot, perhaps rub a few people the wrong way, but nonetheless will be full of emet. Tonight's shiur will be for a refuah shlema for Sarah bat Levana, Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Rav Ephraim ben Shulamit, Michal bat Yael, Orit bat Ilana, Talia bat Sarah, Yitro ben Avraham, Stefan ben Katarina, and Chana Rivka bat Vivian Fortune, Abigail bat Surya, Levin ben David Cohen, and also for a Atzlacha Rabba for David ben Esriya, Doris bat Jora, and also refuah shlema for them as well, Avdil, and Atzlacha Rabba for Oshri ben Doris, Gabi ben Doris, Elad ben Doris, Shaul ben Farzane, Marsha bat Julie, and a dear daughter Ayla bat Marsha, and Samuel ben Marsha, and Alexander ben Marsha. Kadosh Baruch Hu yivarech otam bekol mikol kol, chaim arukim, shlemim, meleim Torah, mitzvot, gemilut chasadim, nachat ubracha. To them and to all of the wonderful supporters that we have that are mamash mosrei nefesh, making sacrifices to help us continue doing what we're doing, and Baruch Hashem continue to grow in our reach to the four corners of the world. B'ezrat Hashem. A little bit of good news, Baruch Hashem. In the last month or so, we've had quite a bit of blessings from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Of course, blessings come with their own tests, but nonetheless, we have to appreciate the blessings and Hodu LaHashem Ki Tov. Kilo Lam Chazdo, to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We had several people, Baruch Hashem, that completed their conversions. We have we sent it to the Beit Din, and then we have another 4 going to the Beit Din, B'ezrat Hashem, in the next month. And then in addition to that, Baruch Hashem, we have also several of our students got married and also getting married. Just last month, one couple got married, and B'ezrat Hashem, next month we have a couple of students getting married, Baruch Hashem. And B'ezrat Hashem, all of the wonderful people that are looking for shidduchim, we'll find them, we'll find the right ones. Someone asked me earlier today, when we mentioned in the shiur once, the Gemara in Masechet Sotah, in the beginning, the first page, 2a, says that a righteous person gets a woman that's modest, and a wicked person gets a woman that's immodest. So you ask me, well, what happens if the person does tshuva? What if he wasn't really righteous? So Hashem already designated somebody to him. So now he did tshuva. So what happens then? So the answer is, Rabbotai, is one of the keys that HaKadosh Baruch Hu holds to himself is the key of the Zivugim. He's a mezavek Zivugim. They say, the Gemara asks, what is Hashem doing since he created the world? First of all, he recreates the world every single moment, but the Gemara answers also that he's mezavek Zivugim. He brings the Zivugim together. And because that in itself is more difficult, if you will. Not that Hashem has difficulty, but that's the way the Gemara speaks to us, to soften it, to the understanding of it, to our ear. It's more difficult than Kriyat Yam Suf, than the splitting of the ocean. And one of the things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is he brings couples together. And the question is, if he's bringing the righteous person a modest girl, and a wicked person, a wicked guy, he brings him a immodest girl, what happens if this person started off as wicked and then he did tshuva? So this is one of the great and amazing secrets that Hashem himself has of how he does what he does. But simply put, in our own limitation, you could answer it in such a way where, number one, if he hasn't found his zivug already, and when he started off, he was wicked, and not keeping Shabbat, not keeping Kashrut, wasting seed, and so on and so forth. And now he started keeping the Torah and mitzvot, listening to the Shulim and so on. Then simply his zivug changes. He was originally supposed to marry Izebel, one of the wickedest women in history, but now he's going to Bezat Hashem marry Sarai Imenu because he did tshuva. So his zivug changed. In other cases, you could also see that the Hashem will sometimes have the actual potential spouse is also doing tshuva. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu can continue having that same original person. But nonetheless, everybody has free choice. So if both people do tshuva, they'll stay the same zivug. If they don't, then obviously Hashem will change because it's measure for measure. He's not going to give a person that's doing tshuva a wicked person. And vice versa. Same thing goes for the girl, obviously. If she's a righteous girl, she did tshuva, and originally she was immodest and so on. Originally she was supposed to marry Esav. But now that she did tshuva, B'ezrat Hashem she'll marry Yaakov. So the point being is that how Hashem does what he does is not really so much our business. What our business is to make sure that we marry a Jew. Make sure that we marry a Jew if you're a Jew. And if you're a Noahide, to make sure that you're marrying a Noahide. And that's really the most important thing. But again, do we know what a Jew is, if you will? Now, in simple terms, we learned from our Jewish Hashkafa series based on Chazon Ish Sefer, Emunah V'Bitachon, that obviously a Jew is a lot more than just simply somebody that was born to a Jewish mother. That in essence designates a person, qualifies a person to be a Jew, but there's a lot more to it as far as to be a real Jew. Now, this is actually the topic that Rav Wasserman, alav shalom, is now discussing, and it is, if you thought that the other stuff was, that we've talked about over the last several months was expressing zealousness, I think it's a understatement for this very next section, if a person understands it. And of course, his Talmidim and the followers of his teachings, like Rav Shach alav shalom, did not spare a word when push came to shove and they had to let people know what is a Jew. So the most important thing for a person to know is that the ideology of a person, the ideology of a person that you're going to marry, the ideology of a person that you're going to associate with, the ideology of a person you're going to be doing business with is extremely important, and in many cases the most important factor in a relationship. For sure, in a marriage, ideology is the most critical, and the reason why is because the beauty itself is something that it can grow. It's something that can deteriorate. It's something that is up to the beholder. But nonetheless, it's something that is not there permanently. Or at least it's not. It's a variable, if you will. It's a dynamic issue. The beauty, but the ideology, although that can change as well, if you both start with two different ideologies, it's very unlikely you'll ever arrive at the right ideology together. And the reason why is because usually one negates the other. Usually one is against the other. It's not like their ideology will simply allow your ideology to live in peace. Usually the ideology of the people have to be the same or very similar, to the extent where if they're not similar, then you see a divorce. And many times I see this, unfortunately, where couples come to me for help and say, I want to do this, he doesn't want to do it, she wants to do this, and I don't want to, and so on and so forth. And you see, really, oftentimes, the biggest issue is the ideology of the two people and how they view the world. Most importantly, how they view their purpose in the world and what Hashem has to do with that. So we know that Rav Wasserman battled a war against the Enlightenment movement, the Reform movement, the Zionist movement, all of these movements that deterred away from the Torah, all of these movements that, in essence, wanted to create a new Torah, a new understanding, a new religion, if you will, but still put the tag of Judaism on it. And here he's saying that unlike the past, where we could clearly pinpoint our troubles at the leaders, we could clearly pinpoint our troubles at the bad shepherds. In the era of Mashiach, it's not necessarily going to be just the bad shepherds that are going to lead us astray. It's not going to be just the bad shepherds that are going to be the problem, but rather it's going to be their followers, rather it's going to be their supporters, rather the whole world at large is going to be problematic if you really look at things closely enough. Now, one of the things that grew tremendously to our misfortune is during the time of Rav Wasserman, which is right before the World War II and during World War II, is the whole notion of the nationalistic idea, where the instead of the Zionist wanting to be real Zionists, like the Torah says, which is people that are zealous for Hashem, that Zion really means Jerusalem, according to the Torah. Rather, they just use that word and just to, in essence, start their own religion, because they viewed Judaism very differently than the Torah does. They, in essence, said as long as you have some type of cultural connection between the two, and you both have an understanding that the land of Israel, the physical land of Israel, is the Holy Grail, then you could be a Jew. Which, in essence, means that, even if you're a Christian, you could be a Jew according to them. You could be a heretic and a Jew according to them, and so on and so forth. Now, this obviously is antithetical to the Torah, and that's, in essence, one of the problems that we had at the time, where many Zionists did not really show their true colors of being antithetical to the Torah in many cases, and we really only learned after from some of them, and even during that time before. But that's why there was a debate among even the Chachamim of the time of whether to trust these Zionists, whether to trust these reformers, and really partner with them in order to move forward, unite, and so on and so forth. And many went against it completely, and a few went with them, because again, as I explained last week, they did not know what was hidden behind their backs. Now, one of the main things that they were preaching, the Zionists, was the fact that they wanted to have a nationalistic idea, a nationalistic move where you view all Jews as the same, all humans as the same, as long as they have, in essence, the same ambitions in the world. And this is a humanist idea. It's not very different than many people in the world today, but needless to say, if the Chinese, the American, and let's say the people from Belgium all decide that they like something particular, there's no real problem between them to become one, because most of them either practice the same religion or no religion, and they don't really have a heritage, if you will, that brings them back to Mount Sinai, that brings them back thousands of years. At best, we're talking about, the Chinese have the original Chinese originated, at the time of Noach, but the Chinese of 4,000 years ago and the Chinese of today have virtually nothing in common. So needless to say, the Belgians and the Americans, have virtually nothing in common with what their ancestors are. Really, the only ones that truly connect to their ancestors as they were is Am Yisrael. You can say the Muslims connect to a certain extent. You can say the Christians connect to a certain extent. You can say that, but that wouldn't be anywhere near as much as the Jewish people, because our religion, if you will, the foundational part, the one that's the real part, is the only thing that really has not changed, whereas theirs has evolved, if you will, over time. Now, all based on how much power they had and how much power they were able to express. Now, the point being here is that Rav Wasserman told us last week that during his time, and even before, during the late 1800s, there was a wicked person, a Rasha, named Peretz ben Moshe Smolenskin. who ran the lefty liberal newspaper called HaShachar, preaching this modern national idea in Israel, and with great bitterness against the Torah, fighting against the Torah, in essence, trying to continue the culture and customs of the Jewish people that he saw fit, but not what gave those cultures and customs any real meaning. So he, in essence, figured the Torah died, according to him, and let me just pick up the scraps, these Jewish people from different places, from Hungary, from Australia, maybe from Holland, from all other places in Europe, maybe perhaps something over here in the Middle East and so on. Let me just pick up the pieces and just start something new. And he wasn't necessarily such an innovator. The other Zionists like Herzl and Ben Gurion and all of the others that went in and out of this world did very much the same thing. Now, last week he told us that this whole modern national idea is perhaps even more dangerous than the bad shepherds. And one of the main reasons why is because the nationalistic idea looks kosher at the surface. Looks kosher at the surface, where it just says, listen, just love everybody. Everybody's the same. We're all humans. We're all really truly the sons of Adam HaRishon, and we're really only the sons of Noach. So what's really the difference? You have arms, I have arms. You have legs, I have legs. You have a head, I have a head. Okay, so you have your customs. You want to eat this type of food, I'll eat different type of food. No problem. Your taste is your taste, but let's just all unite, and that seems fine on the surface. Like a pig is the animal that has one sign, it has the split hooves, but it doesn't chew its cud. So if it lays down on its belly and its arms are out, the Chachamim say it looks like a kosher animal. Only once you know that it doesn't chew its cud, what's really on the inside, do you know that this is a deception. Just like Christianity is a deception, where it started with a bunch of Jews originally, later on to become, the biggest form of idolatry the world has ever seen. The same concept goes with other types of sects that broke off of it, and also sects of Judaism that call themselves Judaism but have nothing to do with it, whether it be Reform Judaism that give bar mitzvahs to dogs and have women rabbis and sometimes that are not even Jewish, or the conservative that have the openly homosexual rabbis leading their congregation, or the open orthodoxy, which in essence is the same thing as Reform, but just likes to use the name Orthodox more often, or the Messianic Jews, which more or less have zero Judaism in them whatsoever, but they love the exterior look. So they'll wear the talit, they'll wear the kippah, and in some cases even places like Lapid and other heretical organizations have a mikveh and a menorah in the organization because money has never been their problem. So these people are not even Jewish, but nonetheless, you're going to see them look and in some cases act as if they are. No different than the pig. No different than the pig. Now, this all starts off with the nationalistic idea. We're all the same, if you will, but we do what we do a little bit differently. And Rav Wasserman is trying to embellish on this point that this is even more dangerous than what we spent the last several months learning, which is the danger of the leaders themselves. The dangers of the leaders themselves, because when it's a single person, although that leader can literally create an entire army of wicked people that can create a lot of damage, nonetheless, sometimes the followers don't actually know how bad the leader is until it's too late. Until it's too late. And this, unfortunately, is, as you can see, happening in the world. Enough said. Now, he continues with the following. Today, Rabbotai, we are going to cover a lot of material. I recommend you get yourself a cup of coffee if you get tired during shiurim, and perhaps take some notes, because there's a few really interesting things that are extremely relevant to us today, extremely relevant to the times we are living in today, whether it's the administration problems we have in the States,
or the ones we have in Israel, or it's the religiosity issues that we have today, the confusion among even the religious people of who's really a Jew, who's really not, the whole issue with converts. Do we need them? Do we want them? And if we do, should we help them? A lot of different things are going to be discussed tonight, Be'ezrat Hashem. And also how to deal with people that are antithetical to what the truth is. So Rav Wasserman continues and he says the following. The main feature of this national idea is that the Jew, to be a Jew, means to subscribe to the national idea and nothing more. This Smolenskin, the person that ran the HaShachar, had successors, and his successors brought their rabbis Torah, rabbi in quotations, it's really Smolenskin, the heretic. They brought their rabbis Torah to perfection by their pronouncement that even a apostate, a heretic, is to be reckoned equal to any Jewish national. Here we see a clear difference between the teacher and student, where how the student helped manipulate the teacher's teachings to his favor, in essence, and make it more dangerous, make the poison much more potent, and in essence, to recruit practically everybody. They simply said, anyone can become a nationalist. Thereby, anyone can become a Jew. Because their Judaism was simply described by the national idea and not necessarily what the Torah idea is. Now, what is the opinion of the Torah regarding such an idea? What is the opinion of the Torah regarding such an idea? There are clear laws for such a factor. The Gemara mentions that there are 36 places in the Torah that warn us that the convert to Judaism, meaning the authentic convert, the real convert, the Orthodox convert, not someone that converted while being intermarried to somebody of a different religion, not a convert that is not planning on keeping the mitzvot, not a convert that doesn't even know what the mitzvot are. No, a real authentic convert. In 36 places in the Torah warns us that the convert is to be pampered as a father pampers his only son. What must the convert's origin be? Meaning, does he have to come from Europe? Does he have to come from Africa? Does he have to come from a rich family? Does he have to come from a learned family? Where does he come from, this convert, that we have to treat him so extra nice? And we're going to go into the details of what does it really mean, extra nice? Like what? We have to buy him lunch every day? Like what's this extra nice? Listen, you want to convert, that's your problem. What's the whole thing? And some of you that have watched some of my other shiurim know where I'm going to at this point, but you'll see some new insights that we got from the new sefer by our own dear Rav Ephraim Kachlon, a new Kuntres called Kuntres HaGerim, which Be'ezrat Hashem is going to be published very soon, and in Hebrew, and then shortly after in English. So Rav Wasserman says that in 36 places the Torah warns us that the convert has to be pampered as a father pampers his only son. And what must a convert's origin be? Even if he is the descendant of Haman, as the Gemara Masechet Gitin, page 57b says, the law of the convert applies to him. So here we see that the convert, before we go into the rest of what Rav Wasserman says, the convert is in essence unique. He's not like everybody else. Why? Because this convert, it doesn't really matter what his background is. Even if his father is Amalek himself, Doesn't make a difference. He's righteous. You have to give them all of the special conditions that are mentioned in 36 places in the Torah. You have to continue doing them. Now, what are some of these things? What are some of these things about converts that we really, truly need to know, especially in this generation? Why especially in this generation? Because the Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah, page 3b in the beginning of 4a, says that the generation before Mashiach is going to have many converts, many people converting to Judaism. Now, this may not seem like such a great prophecy by our sages from 2,000 years ago, but if you would have known what was really going on in the middle of the street 2,000 years ago and how much persecution there was 2,000 years ago, you'd understand that at the time they were saying that there are going to be a lot of converts, there was virtually no converts. There was very few converts, and really, truly, only the truly righteous, biggest tzaddikim in the world ended up converting to Judaism. Why? Because converting to Judaism literally meant you're putting your life on the line. Today, not so much. Today, you're not exactly putting your life on the line. Maybe you'll have some more expenses. Perhaps you'll have a few more difficulties. Maybe another reason for people to dislike you. But no one's going to kill you because you converted. You know, even though I have a student that tells me that his father shot him with a, or at least shot in his direction with a shotgun when he heard that he wants to convert to Judaism, Baruch Hashem, he's alive and well and Jewish. The point being is that it's really, your life is not really in danger. Your life is not really in danger, nowhere near at least from what it was a couple of thousand years ago when the sages wrote this, that before Mashiach comes, there's going to be a lot of converts. And I know firsthand of what things are in the Bet Dins today and what they were, let's say, 10 years ago. And I can tell you that when I first met the Bet Din, they told me, listen, I asked them, a lot of people convert. I said, yeah, we get, a few a month. I talked to the Bet Din now, it's like, yeah, what we used to get in 1 month, we get every day. So, and this is not just one Bet Din. This is literally, you talk to one Bet Din after another, they're getting an endless supply of new converts. Of course, everybody has their own ways, everybody has their own strategies, everybody has their own timing and so on, but nonetheless, there are many, many people that suddenly want to convert to Judaism. And this is, in essence, one of the promises that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made to the righteous Gentiles around the world at the time of Matan Torah, at the time of Mount Sinai, when he gave us the Torah, because he saw that there are some Gentiles that wanted to join Am Yisrael, but could not, because their nations did not want to join Am Yisrael. Their nations did not want to accept the Torah. So he made a promise to them that he will bring them back in a generation, he will bring them back in a lifetime, where he will give them an unusual opportunity to convert to Judaism. What does it mean, unusual opportunity? Simple. You're waking up, you wake up, you're not Jewish. You go to church your whole life, or you are atheist, or you're a Buddhist, or whatever you are, you're an Arab, whatever you are, your whole life, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, you decide that you want to ask a few questions, and those questions lead you to a sudden interest in a religion that's the opposite of what you believed your whole life, and you actually like it, accept it, and you can't get that thought out of your mind. You suddenly have this desire to become a Jew, even though it means it's the opposite of everything you've ever known, even though it means that everything that you know of, all your friends, your family, your colleagues, and so on, they're all living a lie, because now you have the real truth, and you are willing to expose this to the whole world. And with all of the problems that come with it, all of the issues that come with it, you simply don't care. Now, if you think about it, it actually doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you give up your marriage, your job perhaps, your position in the community, money, all these different things, just to go become a Jew? It actually doesn't make any sense when you think about things of this world. It doesn't make any sense at all. Listen, you like the Torah? Fine. Just be a Noahide quietly. Like, why do you necessarily need to go the extra mile, become a Jew? That's the promise. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in essence, made a promise a few thousand years ago to those people that wanted to become part of Am Yisrael but could not. And now, Rabboteinu HaKadoshim, we find the second half of that of that commentary we just had, the second half of it is as follows. In the Gemara, Masechet Pesachim, as it states in the new Kuntres, the new book by Rav Ephraim, our own dear Rav Ephraim, Kuntres HaGerim, which is a book about different sources in regards to conversion. Now, the Gemara in Masechet Pesachim says in Daf Pei Zayin, which is 87b, gives us uncovers a secret. Uncovers a secret that many have been asking, especially the unlearned. Why is Hashem not sending the Mashiach already? You know, people are screaming in the streets, Mashiach now. They have all types of campaigns. Some are good campaigns, some are really silly. But nonetheless, people say, we want Mashiach now, Mashiach now, Mashiach now. But yet, Hashem continues the exile for 2,000 long years. 2,000 years of suffering, 2,000 years of agony, 2,000 years of pogroms, inquisitions, and Holocaust. And in between all of that horror, a few good years here and there, but nonetheless, 2,000 really hard years. Why are you continuing the whole thing? Why are you continuing the whole thing? Now you can say, to let Am Yisrael do TeShuvah, and it's true. But it's an incomplete answer. The Gemara in Masechet Pesachim says, Rabbi Elazar Omer, לא הגלה הקדוש ברוך הוא את ישראל לבין האומות, אלא כדי שיתוספו עליהם גרים, שנאמר וזרעתיה לי בארץ. Rabbi Elazar says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought Am Yisrael among the four corners of the world, in between all of the nations, having a Jewish kehillah in China at peak 5,000 people, having a Jewish kehillah in the UK, 300,000 people, having a kehillah in America, different parts, different forms, almost 6 million, Canada, Israel, all of these different places, Australia. Why? Why are you in the four corners of the world? There's even Jews in Iran. There's Jews in Saudi Arabia. There are Jews literally in every corner of the world. There are Jews in different parts of Africa where you literally never thought a Jew even walked in there unless he was Moshe Rabbeinu. Nonetheless, there is Jews in Biafra, there's Jews in South Africa, in North Africa, in Nigeria. There are Jews literally everywhere. And even though we're a small people in comparison to the other nations, yet you will find Jews everywhere. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu spread these few people that he have, these few chosen people that he have, everywhere? The Gemara says the following. HaKadosh Baruch Hu spread us among all of the nations, the four corners of the world, in order to gather ourselves converts. That's why he allowed you to open a kehillah in Mumbai, India, surrounded by a bunch of idol worshippers that pray to cows, motorcycles, rats, and anything else that they could find. You can have a kehillah over there of Jewish people. You can have your kehillah in Venezuela under the dictatorship of sociopaths that want to kill anything that doesn't agree with them and make sure that they take all the money of their own people to themselves. You're going to have a kehillah over there in Venezuela. You're going to have a kehillah in Brazil, among the most immodest people in the world, and in certain parts of it that have so much murder, you're not allowed to walk by yourself. You're going to have a kehillah over there. To have a kehillah in Syria, and a illustrious kehillah that was built there for several thousand years, having some things that literally came from the Bet HaMikdash. You have a kehillah in Syria. Have a kehillah in Iran, even after the whole destruction and they became practically terrorists that everybody hates but no one really knows what to do with. They can't wait to get an atomic bomb so they can blow up the whole world. You still have a kehillah over there in Iran. To have a kehillah in Ethiopia, among a bunch of people that all they want to do is practice idolatry of Christianity, and otherwise you're going to have a bunch of black Jews over there, tzadikim gmurim, completely disconnected from the world. You're going to have a kehillah in Yemen, among all the poverty in the world, where you see that the heritage of the Yemenite people is perhaps the strongest one out of all of Jewry, because you literally see that some of the things they did 3,000 years ago, they actually still do now. The things that the rest of us do are similar to what we did back then. They do literally some of the same exact things, whether it be the food or it be different customs and so on. I mean, just look at some of their food, for example. Most of the food of the Yemenite is dough. Why? You would think, oh, what, they really like dough? No, dough is really filling. And when you're poor and you don't have anything, you can afford dough. Dough can feed, a little piece of jachnun can feed a family of 6. The point being is that you're going to have a kehillah in there. You're going to have a kehillah in Morocco under dictatorships of different kings. Some hated us and killed some of our righteous people, like the Baba Salih's older brother, in open daylight with a vicious way, when a cannon shot him straightly just to show how powerful this king was, is Menuval, Rasha Merusha. But honorary kings from Morocco, like the one they have today, that gives honor to the Torah, honor to the Jewish people. He's given extraordinary honor and respect to the Jewish community there in Morocco today. Rabbi Yaron Pinto over there is leading, and Baruch Hashem, fantastic relationship with today's king in Morocco. According to Rabbi Yaron Pinto, it's the safest place for Jews today. I don't necessarily debate that. I think he may be onto something. The point being is, HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts a kehillah in Morocco, puts a kehillah in Belgium, puts a kehillah in England, puts a kehillah in Australia, in China, in Venezuela, Brazil, different parts of the world. Why? And so the Gemara says, you have the kehillah, not just you can get the kehillah to be strong. You could all do that in one country. What's the kehillah everywhere? Gather my goyim that want to be Jews. Gather my goyim that want to be Jews. Gather those. Why? I made them a promise. I made them a promise 3,300 years ago. They wanted to be Jews, but they couldn't. So, I promised them, I'm going to bring you back, and you're going to have the opportunity. How? That place you live in has no Jews in it at the time of Matan Torah. Don't worry. By the time I bring you back in 3,000 years, I'm going to not only have some Jews there. They're going to have a bit knesset, they have a mikveh, they have a good rabbi, they have maybe some Rabbi Yaron Reuven CDs because he distributes them for free all over the world. You're going to have everything you need to be a Jew. But don't mess around, you only get one shot at this. Rabboteinu HaKadoshim, one of the reasons why Am Yisrael is still in the exile, and not only in the exile, but literally in all 4 corners of the world, is because of our obligation to help HaKadosh Baruch Hu bring back the converts. Bring back the converts. Bring them. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves the converts. He loves them. Needless to say, this is also, as I heard one of the Chachamim of this generation quote the Arizal, saying it's also a replacement of many heretical Jews that have left the way with no way back, have gone to the point where TeShuvah was taken away from them. They're not coming back. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not want to lose his people because he made a promise to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So in order to make sure that the Jewish people live, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has converts in the Torah. Rav Ephraim continues. The Yalkut Shimoni in Parashat Vayetze, in Remez 129, says what happens when you're not exactly welcoming of converts. Unfortunately, although there are many communities that are very welcoming to converts, very few are truly welcoming like they're supposed to be. Very few. And there are, unfortunately, a couple out there, and I'm saying it politely, as an understatement, because there's more than a couple, unfortunately, that are actually against converts. And you tell them, you do realize that in 36 places in the Torah, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you have to love the converts, you have to help them, you can't pressure them, you have to do everything you possibly can to help them. In fact, you have to love them as much as you love God, which is a much higher than you love a natural born Jew. I mean, we're going to get into that. and you not only don't like them, but you actually show and express that emotion publicly, openly, by putting a sign in your Beit Knesset saying we don't accept converts. You tell people don't marry this person. You tell them we're not, if you could come, but we're not going to count you in minyan. You kick them out of your mikveh, and all types of other awful things I've unfortunately witnessed. This is what you do. 36 places in the Torah. You realize every time you do it, you're making 36 different sins in the Torah. You do realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, when you make a convert sad, you heard him, he cries to Hashem, she cries to Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, there's a verse in the Torah. Verse in the Torah says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to take out my sword, I'm going to kill you. Why? Personal revenge. Doesn't say that about any natural born Jew. Says it about the convert though. And you go against them. Okay, maybe you don't like this particular person for whatever reason or another, but you just classify all converts as the same. Do you know what you're dealing with here? Let's see. Yalkut Shimoni says, V'achot lotan timna. Sefer Bereshit, chapter 36, verse 22. The sister of Lotan was Timna. Who was the sister of Lotan was Timna? She was Bat Chashuvim. She was a daughter of important people, monarchy. And this daughter of the head of Timna, came to Abraham and said to him, let me convert. Let me marry into your family. I want to be a Jew. Obviously, there was no Judaism at the time, but nonetheless, let me become part of the family. For whatever reason or another, Avraham and Yitzhak rejected Timnah. And Timnah said, I'd rather be the maidservant to the wicked in his family, to Esav, to the one that's against, but he's still part of the family of Abraham. I'd rather be the maidservant in his family than continue being the princess of Timnah. And she married the son of Esav, and their son, Timnah's son, was Amalek. As the Yalkut Shimoni says, and so does the Midrash Me'am Loeh says, this was in essence a rebuke from Hashem to Avraham Avinu. Why did you not convert her? Why did you not welcome her? You made a mistake, and for that your descendants, you caused their suffering by not welcoming her. Your descendants will suffer from Amalek, from her son, until Mashiach comes. Here we see that our Torah is not biased. Our Torah does not hide the errors, if we're even allowed to say such a thing. If it wasn't written, we wouldn't be allowed to say it. But the errors that HaKadosh Baruch Hu pinpointed that our own patriarchs made. Now, of course, I'm sure that Avraham had his reasons. They didn't think that Timnah was really authentic. But nonetheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was still upset at this to the point where it was measure for measure punishment that her son was Amalek. Now, Rabbotai, the most famous convert that we have in the Torah is Yitro. Yitro, Kohen Midyan, Choten Moshe, and it says in Exodus 18, verse 1, who left the world of idolatry. He practiced every form of idolatry, had countless money, very similar to a pope today, and left it for the sake of Torah. Here we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu appreciated it, that Yitro did not need any Torah and science movies. He did not need any personal rebuke. He did not need any specific musar. But rather it says, Vayishma Yitro. Yitro heard about the God of Israel, heard what he did far away. That was enough for him to leave, abandon all of his money, abandon all of his power, put his life and his daughter's lives on the line of possible murder from all of the idol worshippers that used to practically serve him. They're now wanting to kill him. He put it all on the line. Why? He heard about the God of Israel. That was enough. Vayishma Yitro. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu not only allowed Yitro to convert, but more importantly, we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu paid Yitro extraordinary respect, huge respect for what he did, the sacrifice that he made. Matan Torah, the parasha of Matan Torah, the section of the Torah that talks about Matan Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the Chachamim Ruach HaKodesh to name that parasha instead of Parashat Matan Torah, of Parasha Moshe Rabbeinu, Parasha of Hashem, I don't know, some parasha that's relevant to what we're talking about. No, Parashat Yitro. The parasha that we get, the whole Torah, 10 commandments and everything, is named after Yitro. Why? Because Yitro exemplified what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us. Listen to the truth and do it. Stop asking so many questions. You're allowed to ask questions, but it doesn't mean you only start doing after you get all your answers. Start doing right away. Vayishma Yitro. Yitro merited to become a Jew. His daughter merited to marry the biggest giant in Am Yisrael's history, Moshe Rabbeinu. So he was the father-in-law. He was the father-in-law of Moshe Rabbeinu. And also, his daughters married the sons of Aaron HaKohen. Pinchas is one of his grandsons. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen. Who's Pinchas? Pinchas is Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu Navi, grandson of Yitro. Meaning, his grandson is going to bring the Mashiach. As the prophets say, 3 days before Mashiach, 3 days before the awesome day of God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to send Eliyahu Navi. Who's Eliyahu Navi? Grandson of Yitro. Extraordinary respect. Even more so, it says that Yitro left Mount Sinai, went back to Midian, taught everybody that he could the Torah that he knew, converted everybody to Judaism, and then went and met up with Am Yisrael 40 years later, meaning after already Moshe left the world, went to Olam Haba. Yitro was still alive. He came with all of his sons and everybody that he had, tens of thousands of people, to Eretz Yisrael. Came to the Chachamim over there and said, wow, Yitro, you are the father-in-law of Moshe Rabbeinu, our dear father. Wow, you lived a very long life. Praiseworthy is the man who lived such a long life. Even more praiseworthy that your son-in-law is our own dear Moshe Rabbeinu. Here you go as a present. You get the most beautiful city in the entire country, Jethro. You have the Jericho. Yitro goes over there and says, okay, where's the Bet Midrash? Where's the yeshiva? No. We're sorry, Yitro. Rabbi Yitro. We're sorry. Why? There's no yeshiva over here in Jericho. It's a vacation. No. I didn't come to Eretz Yisrael for a vacation. I came to learn Torah. So if you want to learn Torah, you got to go to Midbar Yehuda. You have to go to the desert of Judah. Over there, that's all the tzaddikim over there. He took all of his sons, all of the people, they went to the Midbar Yehuda. Now, because he didn't learn Torah like Am Yisrael for 40 years in the desert, he didn't know anywhere near as much as everybody else. So when he got to Midbar Yehuda, he barely understood a single word that they were saying. They were standing outside the camp because they were very shy, just trying to listen but not understanding anything. Everyone saw, well, what do you do? What do you want? So we came to learn Torah. Their humility and their love for the Torah, Rabboteinu HaKadoshim, gave them additional reward. What reward? All of them learned Torah, the Gemara says. They all learned Torah, and each one of his descendants got to a point where they acquired Ruach HaKodesh. Every single one acquired Ruach HaKodesh. That's Yitro. That's Yitro, Rabbotai. So we see in that in Gemara, Masechet Sotah, page 11a, that Yitro and his sons got to Lishkat HaGazit, got to a point where they literally acquired Ruach HaKodesh. The Midrash Rabbah, Vilna, Parashat Naso, in Parashat 8, letter 9, our sages give a extraordinary honor to the sons of converts, saying, based on the Psalm 128, verse 3, Banecha keshitle zetim. מה הזית הזה? זיתים לאכילה, זיתים לייבש וזיתים לשמן, ושמנו דולק מכל השמנים, ואין עליו נושרים. לא בימות החמה ולא בימות הגשמים, כך באים בני הגרים מהם, בעלי מקרא מהם, בעלי משנה מהם, בעלי משא ומתן מהם, חכמים מהם, נבונים מהם, יודעי דבר ואיתו, ויש להם זרע קיים לעולם. He says this verse saying that your sons are going to be like the olive. The olive you could use for so many different things. You could use for oil, you could dry it, you could use it for different things. You could light it. He says this is like the sons of converts. The descendants of converts are like this. Why? Many of them are Talmidei Chachamim. Many of them are very good with business. Many of them know different parts of the Torah, different new insights. Many of them are extremely righteous. Many of them know a lot of different things that are unique. And they have staying power. This is the blessing of the sons of converts. This is the blessing of the sons of converts. This also will help, B'ezrat Hashem, you'll see eventually, not today, we're not going to go over it, you'll see one of the tshuvot, that Rav Ephraim, one of the chidushim, that Rav Ephraim brought of the, not just the merit, but rather, should you marry a convert, or a convert's son or daughter? So now in our history, who are the converts that we know of, that are the most famous? First and foremost known, Rabbi Chaim Paltiel in Bereshit, in chapter 26, verse 6, and also in several other places, knows Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu is known as the original convert. As a side note, the Zera Shimshon says that Yaakov has even a deeper connection to the converts than even Avraham. Why? Because Yaakov went down to Egypt, and over there, due to his going down to Egypt, is where a lot of the conversion, in essence, began. The whole issues, all of the great things that began with conversion began after Yaakov's act of going to Egypt. But you can look at it in the Zera Shimshon with more details. Further, Yitro, as we talked about right now, Yitro, the father-in-law of Moshe Rabbeinu, Ruth the Moabite, which is the mother of kinghood, the mother of David HaMelech, grandmother of Shlomo HaMelech. She lived a long life, long enough to see her great-grandson, a great-great-grandson, Shlomo HaMelech, in the kingdom, leading Am Yisrael, leading the world, was the king of the world. And this Ruth, this righteous convert, her sister, married somebody and had the son Goliath, meaning that Ruth had the great-grand descendant, David HaMelech. Our sister had Goliath. You see how two sisters make different decisions? One is the mother, grandmother, and in essence, the matriarch of Mashiach Tzidkenu. The other one, Amalek. Two sisters, grew up together, played toys together, jump rope together, everything. One, Amalek. One, you have a Mashiach Tzidkenu. Jonah the prophet. Says that some say that he was a convert that Eliyahu Navi resurrected. He was the little boy that Eliyahu Navi brought back to life. Menubaz, the king, the righteous king, who opened all of his treasures in the difficult years and gave his tzedakah in Gemara Masechet Baba Batra, page 11, 11a. And also the Maharsha over there says that he was a convert, Munbaz. Ovadiah the prophet, Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin, page 39b, says he was a convert. The tzaddikim that sat at the Lishkat Gazit, where from there came out the Torah of Am Yisrael, who were the sons of descendants of Yitro. Onkelos, who was not only from the family of the Caesar, but became a righteous convert who brought back the Targum. The Targum is part of our oral Torah that gave us the literal interpretation of the Torah itself, but was lost at some point, and Onkelos, meaning not lost in the world, but literally very few people know it. Onkelos, the convert, brought back the light of the Targum to the world, and till this day, the Targum is called Targum Onkelos. And there's a halacha in Shulchan Aruch that you have to read the weekly Torah portion twice and the Targum of Onkelos once. That's the weekly parasha, but there are some sages that say that if you read the commentary by Rashi, that's also just as good. But nonetheless, the original halacha is Targum Onkelos, which he preceded Rashi by 1,000 years or so, more than 1,000 years. The Tana Kadosh, the holy Tana, Shmaya. Shmaya in the Gemara Masechet Brachot, page 19, page 19a, and also Masechet Gitin, page 57, talks about Shmaya being a convert. Avtalion also in same Masechet Brachot, page 19. Shmaya and Avtalion were the heads. There were two huge tzaddikim, two extraordinary converts, which were so big, so smart, and so righteous that they changed the rules for them. They became the heads of the Sanhedrin, which is never happened again. It's unheard of. You don't make a convert into the heads of the Sanhedrin. Shmaya and Avtalion became the heads. They just simply were exceptional in every single facet, that it was literally the sages of the generation made a takana just for them. That's how extraordinary they were. They were before Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, they were before Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenos, they were before Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. They were the Zugot, beginning of Pirkei Avot, beginning. They were the original sages. Shmaya and Avtalion. Rabbi Akiva himself, his father was named Yosef. He was a convert. So Rabbi Akiva was the son of a convert. The Magen Avot says, as a commentary on Avot 3:13, and also in the Sefer Yochasin, page 37. Also the Tana, Rabbi Yochanan ben Torta, the Tosfot Yeshanim, in Masechet Yoma, page 9a, says that the Tana, Rabbi Yochanan ben Torta, was a convert. Who's Torta? His father's name is Torta? No, Torta is actually a bull or cow. He learned how extraordinary Judaism is from a cow, from a bull. Why? He bought one from a Jew, and he saw that this bull is not working. So he came back to the Jewish owner. He said, "What's going on here? This bull doesn't work." He says, "Oh, I'm sorry. This is my bull. He keeps Shabbat." He said, "What? What's that?" So, this bull keeps Shabbat, but don't worry. He whispered in his ear. He said, "From now on, you're owned by a non-Jew. You're allowed to work on Shabbat." And he saw that the bull go back and started to work. This Gentile saw that the cow understands, the bull understands what Shabbat is. He was so enamored by it. He says, "I have to become a Jew. I have to become a Jew." And not only did he become a Jew, became one of the Gedolei Hador. Became Rabbi Torta. Rabbi Yochanan ben Torta. Also, two famous Tanaim, a Tana ben Bagbag, and also ben Hehe. Two extraordinary Tanaim we see in Pirkei Avot, we see in Gemara. The Tosfot in Masechet Chagiga, page 9b, talks about how it's these two converts, some say it was the same person. The Tana Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes, the Rambam writes in the commentary to the preface to the Mishnah, that Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes was a convert himself. The Amora Rav Shmuel Bar Shilat, Masechet Sanhedrin, page 96b. says that the Amor Rav Shmuel Bar Shilat, the Amor Rav Yehuda Nedoah, in Masechet Kiddushin, page 22, 22b, the Amora, and the son of Rav Yehuda Niskar, Rav Shmuel, converted with him. Rabbi Avraham the convert. Rabbi Avraham the convert is perhaps one of the most famous converts that ever lived. He's noted by the Tosfot in Masechet Kiddushin, page 71, in the Midrash Yalkut Shimoni, in the book of Joshua, in Remez 9, says that there were righteous women that were righteous converts. Osnat, Tzipora, Shifra, Pua, Batya Bat Paro, Rachav, Ruth, Yael. We see here, Rabotai, some of the most righteous women that ever lived, converts. Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid, the Gaon, Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid, who was an extraordinary Chacham Mekubal in the, about 800 years ago, wrote Sefer Chasidim in Siman 377. Says, Kol sheyesh lo lev tov velokeach giyoret שיש לה לב טוב וצנועים וגומלי חסדים ונעימים במשא ומתן, מוטב להתחתן בזרעם ולהתחתן בזרע ישראל שאין בהם מידות אלה. לפי שהזרע של גר יהיו צדיקים וטובים, ומהן זה אמרו בגמרא, in מסכת אוריות, page 13a, כל היוצאים לשא גיורת. Here Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid, was one of the Gdolei Ador 800 years ago, wrote an extraordinary sefer called Sefer Chasidim. This is obviously 400 years before Chassidut of the Baal Shem Tov. He says, anyone that has a good heart, meaning is a good-natured person, who finds a righteous, good-natured convert, and they're both modest and kind and good and honest with business, it's better that they marry this convert. It's better that he marry this convert than to marry a natural-born Jew who doesn't have such character traits. People think, no, this one is a natural-born Jew. It's better that you marry them than marry this guy that used to be an Arab. It's better that I marry this natural-born Jew, this Israeli even, or this American Jew. Better that I marry this guy who used to be Chinese, or this girl that used to be, Persian, or whatever she was. Wrong. Sefer Chasidim says the opposite. It's better you marry the convert who has these good character traits than to marry someone who does not have a good character. Why? Because the seed of the righteous convert is good and righteous. And that's why the Gemara says that to marry the converts. And we're going to get TeShuvah B'ezrat Hashem from Rav Ephraim, who says it's actually, there are some great sages that say it's preferable to marry a convert. Preferable to marry a convert over a natural-born Jew. So much so that Rabboteinu HaKadoshim loved converts. In the Mishnat Rabbi Eliezer, Parasha 16, in Amud, in page 301, says that converts were so beloved that all of the prophets call themselves converts. Not necessarily all of them were converts, but all referred to themselves as converts. חייבים הגרים שבגללן גלגל הקדוש ברוך הוא עם אברהם אבינו במילה עד שהגיע ל-99 שנים. Because Hashem loves converts so much, HaKadosh Baruch Hu waited for Avraham 99 years before he gave him the Brit Milah. Because if Avraham would have done the Brit Milah at 10 years old, or 20 years old, then it wouldn't have had such significance, because no one would have been able to convert with him. Because when Avraham Avinu had the Brit Milah, he brought a bunch of people with him together. But when he was 10, he didn't have a following. When he was 20, he didn't have a following. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu waited 99 years for Avraham Avinu to do the Brit Milah. Why? Because now you can bring a bunch of converts with him. That's how much HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves converts. The Chida says, who was an extraordinary Mekubal, a Posek Halacha, says in the name of the sages of Ashkenaz that Am Yisrael is Kedoshim. And everything that's Kadosh, tzarich tosefet. V'lechen nitosfu aleim gerim. The Chida says something extraordinary. It says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu views Am Yisrael as Kadosh, a holy nation. But everything that's holy has an extra, has a topping, has something to take it even higher. There's no end to Kedusha. So because Am Yisrael is holy, HaKadosh Baruch Hu added the converts to it. Add the converts to it as a tosefet. To not have a limitation to the Kedusha. Now this Kuntres has an endless amount of teachings about converts. But as we all know, the Rambam writes, Paskins Lalacha, that he gives high compliments to a righteous convert named Ovadiah. Says to him that praiseworthy are you, even more than himself, because he says that while we are the descendants of Avraham, you're the son of God. And even more so, while we have our fathers here, biological fathers here, your biological father is Avraham. Praiseworthy. More so, the Rambam writes that there is a unique type of love that HaKadosh Baruch Hu commands every Jew for each other. But he says that the love of the convert, she'avat HaGer chamura yoter ma'asher avat kol adam miYisrael. In Hilchot Deot, in chapter 6, halacha number 4, the Rambam paskins la'alacha that the love of the convert is more than a natural born Jew. Meaning, if you're a Jew, you have to love a convert more than you love even your own sister, even your own brother, even your own best friend. Any natural born Jew, you have to love the convert even more. How much more? He says, look at this. The only thing, when Hashem expresses his love of converts, he uses the same words as he uses when he expresses of how much love we have to have for Hashem. Which means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is expecting us to love the converts as much as we love God. Which is much more than how much we're obligated to love every Jew. So here we see, Rabbotai, that the significance of converts is a much more perhaps than most people understand. And Rav Wasserman is saying to us that these nationalists have the idea that anyone can just simply be a Jew, not because of their righteousness like the converts that follow the Torah, but rather just because they agree with our idea that the land of Israel is important. That's it. So Rav Wasserman says in 36 places in the Torah commands us to pamper and father his converts as if they're the only son. On the other hand, if a convert has bad origin, comes from Haman, doesn't make a difference. Still, all the laws apply to him. But on the other hand, if a Jew, natural-born Jew, if a natural-born Jew is disloyal to the Torah, goes and converts to Christianity, what happens to him? We know what happens to a Christian that becomes a Jew. Christian becomes a Jew, we have to love him even more than a natural-born Jew. An Arab that converts to Judaism, you have to love him more than a natural-born Jew. In fact, even if Hitler, if Hitler would have converted to Judaism after killing 6 million people, we would have all been obligated to love him more than we love any Jew. And we have a proof of it. What's the proof? At the time of the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash, Nebuchadnezzar sent his leader, Nebuzaradan, who killed millions and millions of people. After killing millions and millions of people, Nebuzaradan got the insight that the true religion, the truth in the world is Judaism. And he converted to Judaism. After murdering millions of Jews, he converted to Judaism. And he got the Ruach HaKodesh. Kadosh Baruch Hu accepted him. So if a heretic, a lowlife, a degenerate, a murderer, a rapist, whatever he is in the past, leaves his past, adopts the entire Torah, follows everything, abandons the path completely, no connection whatsoever. He goes and he takes the entire Torah. She takes the entire Torah, all of the laws of modesty, all of the laws of kashrut, everything. She takes the entire Torah. She lives everything. He lives everything. We have to love that person more than a natural-born Jew, even if the natural-born Jew is righteous. What happens if a formerly righteous, decent Jew goes off? But not off like he starts eating tarif. Off to the extent that he joins one of these missionary groups. He decides to become a Christian. He decides to become one of the people that leads Am Yisrael astray. Rav Wasserman quotes the Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah, page 26b. He says that an Israelite that proves disloyal to his faith, even if he is the son of the greatest rabbi in the world, he comes under the ruling of to lower and not to uplift. What does it mean to lower and not to uplift? Let's open the Gemara. The Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah, page 26a, says we have to understand the difference between good guy, bad guy. Even more so, we have to understand the difference between bad guy and someone dangerous. So, for example, if someone is an idol worshiper, and another one is a shepherd of small animals, who's a dishonest person, allows his animals to eat from his neighbors, meaning he's regularly stealing. Like, a guy that's working in a cash advance business. He's regularly stealing. These people, if they fall in a hole, we don't have to pick them up out of the hole. Let them die over there. Why? One guy's an idol worshiper, so we don't have any obligation to save him. And the other guy, he's a thief. He's hurting people. We don't have to help him either. Let him die in there. That's the ruling of the Torah. Now, of course, we don't practice in actual real life anymore because things have changed, which we'll elaborate in a second. But I'm telling you what the Gemara says here. Rabbi Abahu says that while we do not help take out the someone that's a regular thief and someone that's an idol worshiper, we don't save their lives. We don't take them out of the pit. What about minim and mumarim and the informers, the missionaries and the renegades? What do we do with them? Rabbi Abahu says, them it's not only you wouldn't save them if they're in the hole. Them, you're allowed to push them in the hole, meaning you're allowed to kill them. You're allowed to kill them. Shem Yishmo. Now again, none of this we practice in today's world because the world has changed. And if the world was the same as the time where the Torah ran the world, where the kinghood of Chizkiyahu, the kinghood of David, the kinghood of Shlomo, Moshe Rabbeinu, we're allowed to practice these things. But today we can't. But in those days, if the opportunity arose to kill one of these missionaries, to kill one of these informers, to kill one of these renegades, we'd be allowed to kill them. It would be actually a mitzvah according to the Rambam in Hilchot TeShuvah, chapter 4, verse 10, halakha number 10. Again, I have to emphasize, not applicable today. Why not applicable today? The Chazon Ish in Yoreh De'ah 2:16 says that this was based on a law of the Masechet Sanhedrin 46a, where it was at the time where the Torah law prevailed in Eretz Yisrael, and the Beit Din had the power to impose the corporal punishment, even when such punishment is not actually specified in the Torah, in order to preserve the integrity of the Torah. But in later times, such as today, where the distinction between good and evil has become blurry, taking the initiative to eliminate a wicked person without bringing him to judgment would have defeated the purpose, since this would have been perceived simply as an act of violence and would have only added to the woes of society, and therefore this law ceased to be applicable in today's age. But what is the lesson that we learn here? What's the lesson that we learn here? If someone is a thief, regularly, dishonest business, or an idol worshiper, but not a missionary type of idol worshiper, he's just simply worshipping idols on his own, he prays to Yoshke on his own, whatever he's doing. Those people, they fall in a hole, you don't need to save them. That's in essence what the law is. But if he is a missionary, which means that he could be a natural-born Jew. He could be a natural-born Jew that's extremely popular in the media, that has YouTube channels, that has all types of things to offer, but he is in essence enticing people to go against the Torah, different forms of heresy, whether it's his own religion, idol-worshipping religions, his own form of heresy, atheism, and so on. He's considered amin. He's considered someone that is not only heretical, but someone that is bringing other people with him. Such a person, you are allowed at those times to push him into the pit. Not just like not save him if he was in a pit, but actually to push him into the pit. Which means, Rabboteinu HaKadoshim, we learned from this Gemara, what Rav Wasserman is trying to emphasize here, is that look at the difference between these nationalists and what the Torah says. The nationalists say anyone can become a Jew as long as you agree that the land of Israel is the most important. Whereas the Torah says not only is that not true, but in fact some of the people that you've allowed into your own version of Judaism were actually allowed to murder them. And that would be a mitzvah. That's how far the gap is between your definition of Judaism and the Torah's definition of Judaism. So we see here Rav Wasserman says that one's origin alone is useless, is valueless if it's not connected to the Torah. So the national idea is nothing but modern idol worship. It's not recognized by the Torah, and it's fundamentally idol worshiping. Now, in 1990, there was an extraordinary event that took place in the Jewish world, where it was during a election, a lot of political issues, and on live television, they had a famous speech by Rav Shach, who was later coined this speech, this specific speech by the Gadol Ador, Rav Shach alav shalom, was later coined Neum Ashfanim v'Chazirim, the speech of rabbits and pigs. What is a speech of rabbits and pigs? Here Rav Shach is talking as a national rebuke that reached international corners and shook up the Jewish world in such a way that till this day, anyone that heard the speech or knows about the speech is enamored how such a thing happened. And very few people know about it today. So in this speech, he wanted to make sure to answer the question, dealing with this lefty, liberal-minded nationalists, the very same ones that were torturing Am Yisrael at the time of Rav Wasserman, the very same ones that were doing it even for generations beforehand and are doing it today. To deal with all of these lefty liberal people that claim to be Jewish, that say they are Jewish, that say that they're fighting for the Jewish cause, even though they don't actually practice anything that has to do with Judaism. And he says the following, 2000 שנה אנחנו לבד בידיים רכות, אין לנו נשק. He says 2,000 years we're fighting without any weapons. How we survive? In fact, we won, he says. Not only we survived, we won. 2,000 years without weapons, we won. The Romans are gone. The Greeks are gone. The Spaniards are gone. The Turks are gone. Everyone that went against Am Yisrael is gone. Even the Germans, the Nazis are gone. Without weapons, we won, he says. We stand and we're alive. What's the secret in here? What's the magic here? I am a Jew and I am stronger than them. They may kill me, but my sons will stay alive. Because I did not disconnect from my masoret of the Avodah, of the heritage of my fathers. I go in the way of my father, in the way of my grandfather, in the way of my grandmother. I'm going to learn. And I'm going to teach this wisdom. And that is my true culture. Now you say you are also a Jew, Rav Shach says. But do you even know your own culture? What is a culture? English? That's your culture? You speak English? Do you ever open the Chumash? Do you know a commentary of what the meaning of the words are? All of these kibbutzim, all of these different sections that were in Israel, all of these kibbutzim who don't know what is Yom Kippur, don't know what Shabbat is, don't know what a mikveh is. They're raising rabbits and pigs. They have a connection to their father? What father? Where's their connection? Ma'arach, which is the lefty liberal party, that's a holy thing, they say. They disconnected themselves from any part that's connected to the holy Torah. And they're asking for a new Torah. If there's no Shabbat and there's no Yom Kippur, what makes you Jewish? Rav Shach asks. There are some people who are going to say that my words are phonetic, that my words are things of the past, al tezachin. But the Holy Torah says, for it is your wisdom and discernment in the eyes of the nations. This Torah is the proof that this is our wisdom of the Jewish people in the eyes of the nations. This, Rabbotai, is just small sections of the speech itself, the whole speech itself. But here, Rabbotai, the world shook. The world shook because he simply explained that if you are not a religious Jew, but not just a religious Jew in your eyes, not a religious Jew in your modern Orthodox community's eyes, not a religious Jew in accordance to some reform person, but a religious Jew in accordance to our holy Torah, which the only authentic religion that exists in the world is Orthodox Judaism. It's not my opinion, it's the Torah's opinion. It says, if you're not an Orthodox Jew, why are you calling yourself Jewish? What makes you Jewish? Why? Because you speak English? That's Jewish. Why? Because you're a lefty liberal party? That makes you Jewish. Why? Because you like to eat the similar food. The Arabs also like to eat similar food. What makes you Jewish? You're eating rabbits and pigs. What makes you Jewish? You completely disconnected from your ancestors. Your grandfather used to be a rabbi. Your grandmother used to be a rebbitzin. Your great-grandparents used to be avachim in a kollel learning all day. What connection do you have to that? What, that you walk around with a tank top in the middle of Tel Aviv? What makes you Jewish? This shook up the world, Rabbotai. He says that I know that people are going to call my words the old. They're going to call my words thing of the past. They're going to call my words phonetic. But the truth is, if you look at the actual Torah, in the book of Deuteronomy, in the book of Numbers, chapter 32, verse 14, we see the only place in the Torah that says the word tarbut, culture. There was a young man that I mentioned for his silly comments that he made in a video about saying that our customs are tefillin is a custom. And he says, no, I didn't say it's a custom, it's a culture, but I didn't really mean a culture. And he's been going back and forth with me trying to explain himself, but really not explaining himself because unfortunately he didn't get educated the right way. You see, Rabbotai, calling any rule in the Torah, whether it's Shabbat, Tefillin, Brit Milah, Kashrut, anything, as something that's cultural, not only you're not understanding the Torah, that everything in the Torah is a commandment and not a culture, but rather you don't understand Torah, period. Why? Only one place in the Torah has the word culture. Culture is tarbut. Now these nationalists, whether it's the nationalists of the day of Rav Shach in 1990, or Rav Wasserman, or today's Dennis Prager's and the others, these nationalists that say everyone kumbaya, Christians and Jews together, they all say in the name of culture. Only one place in the Torah mentions the word culture. What's that place? Book of Numbers, chapter 32, verse 14. Tarbut anashim chataim. The culture of sinful people. Only place in the Torah mentions culture. What culture? Culture that's of wicked people. Why? Because culture you can change. Culture you're not obligated to follow. Culture you can have your own opinion about. That's not Judaism. Judaism is a law from God. And his messengers, our sages. These are all obligations, not culture. We have customs and different traditions. The Jews of Ashkenaz, the Jews of Sephard, and the Jews of different places, customs. And even custom, after it's practiced for several hundred years, becomes like a law. But nonetheless, it's never really a law. Culture, for sure it's not. Custom, you can practice if you really want to. You don't even have to practice your own customs. You can practice somebody else's customs if you really want. But the halacha, the laws, you can never call them a culture. You can never call them a custom. And guess what? You cannot even imply that they're anything other than obligatory on you. Why? Gemara. Masechet Ta'anit talks about anyone that minimizes the law. Moridinoto. What's moridinoto? We throw him in a hole. We kill him. Now, of course, again, we don't practice anymore. We don't have a Sanhedrin today. But nonetheless, someone that minimizes the law would literally get killed. Why? You're desecrating the Torah. So the point is, Rabotai, is that we have a Rav Shach comes to us and tells us all of these nationalists have this passion for rabbits and pigs, but they want to raise them in Israel. They have a passion for architecture, but they want to go build their architecture in Israel. They have a passion for archaeology, and they want to go into the ruins of Jerusalem. They have a passion for all types of things, and they want to practice it in the land of Israel. That does not make you Jewish. Doesn't make you Jewish. Why? What makes you Jewish? Our Torah. If you do not follow the Torah, Torah does not describe you as a Jew like the rest of the Jews. Now you could say, yeah, but all Jews have a share of the world to come, and all Jews are part of Am Yisrael. You could say all of that good stuff. But the reality is, the treatment that you have for a Jew that's not following the Torah versus the treatment that you have of a Jew that is following the Torah are two different worlds. We just explained one of them, which is one that's not only is not following the Torah but is going against it. Chachamim were even allowed to kill him. But what about someone that's simply ignorant, an ignoramus? Someone like that, the Rambam says, you have to help them do tshuva. Do whatever you can. Rebuke them. Bring them closer. Show them the beauty of the Torah and so on and so forth. But the point is, never give them the understanding that everything's okay, they can stay as they are. Why? Because that is murder. That's murder. Now, Rav Wasserman continues, he says, in the course of time, the national idea begot a child, which was named Dati Leumi. What's Dati Leumi? Religious nationalist. Similar to modern Orthodox. From my experience, Dati Leumi is what they use in Israel. In America, they use modern Orthodox. No one really refers to themselves as Dati Leumi in America. They refer to themselves as modern Orthodox. Now, some may disagree with me on that, but you'll see that there's quite a bit of similarity to the point of identical between the two. Most modern Orthodox love Eretz Yisrael, Zionism, and they keep Shabbat, or at least they say they do, and sometimes. Some really do, some are holy people, but nonetheless, your average modern Orthodox is not necessarily keeping everything like your fellow Orthodox Jew. That's it. Why? Things have changed a little bit. Modernized. So, this is the brainchild of nationalism. And Rav Wasserman says that the name of Dati Leumi, of religious nationalist, modern Orthodox, all of these names imply that Orthodox alone is insufficient. As if we have to perfect it by the addition of nationalism, by the addition of adding modernism, we have to, Orthodox by itself, just saying I'm an Orthodox Jew is not enough anymore. You have to mention you're modern Orthodox, you're Dati Leumi, you're Dati, but you're Leumi, and you're me, but sometimes Dati, and you have to add it, because by itself is not enough. Rav Wasserman says, you can disagree with Gdol Adol. This is the Talmid Muv'ak of the Chafetz Chaim. You can disagree with me all you want. What Rav Wasserman says, you can't disagree with. It's a Gdol Adol. Rav Wasserman says the following. In its very name is contained a denial of one of the 13 principles of faith. Because the Torah in Psalm 19:8 says, Torat Hashem Tmimah. The law of the Torah is perfect. It lacks nothing. And has no blemish. Yet you add something to it, implying that it's missing something. We were warned, Rav Wasserman says, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse number 7, Lo tosifu, and the Gemara says, V'kol hamosif goreah, you shall not add to it, the Torah says. And anyone who adds to the Torah diminishes it. It's clear that since modern nationalism is fundamentally idol worship, it follows automatically that this religio nationalist, this Dati Leumi, this, you can even say in some aspects, modern orthodoxy, this viewpoint is nothing less than idol worship itself, coupled with the service to God, which means it's idol worship with what's called shituf. Shituf, which is idolatry. Some consider Christianity as shituf. As a matter of fact, the idea of adding a second Torah is quite old. Maimonides, the Rambam, writes in his letters, in Igeret Teman, since the giving of the law, the world has fought against the Torah by various methods. One way was by the strong hand, through evil decrees and enforced baptisms. But as the prophet Isaiah chapter 54 verse 17 says, no arm shall prosper against you. The Rambam continues saying a second method is opposite to this, which is through a soft mouth, through persuasion and argument. We were promised every tongue that comes to judgment with you shall be shown wicked, meaning that Hashem is going to expose all of these missionaries that are smooth-tongued and are trying to lead us against the Torah itself by believing in their Yoshke or in their Muhammad or any of this other garbage that's out there. Eventually, it's all going to be exposed. The Rambam continues in Igeret Teman saying, in the course of many generations, a new weapon was found. What's this new weapon, the Rambam writes, 900 years ago? What does he write? This new weapon is, they say, the Torah is true, but we must add to it a second Torah. Here born Christianity and all the tentacles that it leads to, whether it be the Messianic Jews, or it is the Muslims with their Quran, which is the Torah is true, but we need to add the Quran to it, or it's all of these other different religions in the world. Nothing new in the world, the Rambam writes. All these methods which the Maimonides mentions were used from outside, by the nations. Now in the era of Mashiach, Rav Wasserman says, all of these weapons are used by our own anti-religious, by the strong hand when they have the opportunity, like Yevsektia back in Russia, the Soviet Union The Yefsektia started with Jews that wanted to literally kill every religious Jew they could find. If you read the book, To Remain a Jew, by Rav Zilbist, something unbelievable, the life that he lived. Something unbelievable. To Remain a Jew, it's called. Fantastic book. Talks about a group called Yefsektia, which he says that was Amalek. Yeah, but they were Jews. Exactly, Amalek, Jews. What, you think George Soros is not Amalek? This clown from Facebook is not Amalek? All of these lefty liberals that are anti-Torah, you don't think they're all Amalek? They're Amalek. So they use the strong hand when they can, Rav Wasserman says. Shut down the media, control it, go against, you'll have some people from Yafid, Shem Reshaim Yerkav, this organization that we mentioned recently, this guy Munster, who pretends to be a religious Jew, what's his job? Destroy the yeshiva system. That's his job. Religious Jew, destroying the yeshiva system. Or better yet, Prager, Dennis Prager, Shem Reshaim Yerkav, claims to be a religious Jew while he drives on Shabbat. Claims to be a religious Jew while he cheats and lies to his followers on a regular basis. His donors are investing into a false premise. Don't worry, we'll expose that at one point when the time is right.
Let's take the laws of Sabbath, to take a less controversial example. So there are certain laws of Sabbath that have been made strict over time, right? You and I disagree on the interpretation of Sabbath, for example. You'll drive on Saturdays. I won't drive on Saturdays because there's a rabbinic tradition that you don't drive on Saturdays. So
right. By the way, I don't drive. I wouldn't drive to a ball game. I don't drive shopping. I drive to a Sabbath-oriented
right, exactly.
thing. Okay.
Right.
But it is true that I think rabbinic law can change. I do believe that. As for Torah law, for example, I don't smoke my pipe or a cigar, which I do every day of the week. I don't do it on Shabbat because it says do not burn a fire on the Sabbath. So I just want to make that clear. Right. I take this stuff very seriously. To her shock, I said, well, I'm a Jew, and I think you should have a Christmas tree. I love having Christmas trees in my society. It's a good thing. It's a happier place Christmas time, thanks to Christmas tree and decorations and Santa Clauses and Christmas music. It's all great.
The whole thing is fake. He helps missionaries hurt Am Yisrael, while he says that he's helping Am Yisrael defend the Torah. Other Reshaim that we've mentioned in the past, these are all Amalek, Erev Rav, every one of them. Rav Wasserman says that in the era of Mashiach, all of these weapons are going to be used by the anti-religious, but also these, not just anti-religious because they don't like religion, the anti-religious because their beliefs are antithetical to the true religion, to the Torah itself. When they have the opportunity, they use their strong hand, like Facebook, Twitter, Google, all of these companies. They shut down the media on Trump in 1 second. Whether you agree with him or disagree with him, doesn't really make a difference to know that what they did is very dangerous for society. When the entire media is controlled by 4 individuals, it's not a healthy thing. Not a healthy thing for society, especially since they're not government. Anyway, in the land of the red, meaning the Russian land, Rav Wasserman says, the heretics over there, the apostates over there, persecute sincere Jews with fearful cruelty. He's talking about the Yefsektia. He's talking about the communist Jews over there hurting the religious Jews. Also in another place, wherever they find a chance to subjugate genuine Jews, they do. Elsewhere, for lack of physical power, they use other methods and degrade the Torah in articles and speeches. He's referring to America, where there was all types of articles in other parts of the world. There were articles that were antithetical to the Torah, but were being publicized by Jews. The third method, he says, in the era of Mashiach, the third method that the enemy is going to use, the addition of a Torah to our Torah, is brought to reality by the religio-nationalist. He says the third part, some will hurt with power, Some will hurt with all types of influences. But, he says there's a third way. Third way is a new belief system. Modern orthodoxy. Open orthodoxy. All types of different foreign beliefs to Judaism. It says that's the third way of the Amalek. That's the third way. Now this is not new. This is not new, Rabboteinu HaKadoshim. This is not new. Am Yisrael has been fighting all types of idolatry for generations. What do all of these forms of idolatry have in common? What do they have in common? What is the idolatry of the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, the time of Yeshua ben Nun, the time of Gidon, the time of today? What is all of the time of the Zion? What does all this idolatry have in common? He's saying that this religio-nationalist, this Dati Leumi, this modern orthodoxy is in essence another form of idolatry. Why? You're adding something to what we are and what we have been for 3,000 years. That in itself is a form of idolatry. That in itself is showing such lack of understanding of what Torah is that you think you can add to it. It's no good. What is the common denominator among all of these? From the time of Moshe Rabbeinu to today. One common element. Desires. That's the common element. What encourages a person to steer away from God? Simple. Desires. Gemara, Masechet Sanhedrin, says, everyone knows that Am Yisrael did not serve the idols in the Bet HaMikdash when they went against Hashem and started serving the idols in the Bet HaMikdash because of the idols themselves. The Gemara says, so why did they do it? Because they served the idols, so the rabbis will stop bothering them, and then they could go sin with non-Jewish women. Meaning, they went against the Torah in a form of idolatry. Why? Because they wanted to be free to practice all of their desires of immorality and so on. Same thing goes, time of Mount Sinai. Time of Mount Sinai, why did Am Yisrael start calling the golden calf God, aside from the fact that it spoke and so on? Why did they even start the whole thing? They wanted to fulfill their desires. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu told them, by the way, I have good news. We have the Torah. Great news. Torah has some new rules. Even better news. Some of you are going to have to get divorced because some of the marriages are forbidden. Am Yisrael started crying. What do you mean? I've been married to my aunt for a long time. I've been married to even your own parents are married. Torah forbids it. You have to get divorced. Immorality is forbidden according to the Torah. Am Yisrael started crying. They didn't want it. So the Erev Rav influenced, hey, listen, don't listen to him. You can meet your desires, but still have God at the same time. Why? Have an idol and so on. And that's what happened. That's what happened at the Bet HaMikdash. That's what happened later on. That's what happenings today. Happening today, people don't want to be orthodox. They want to be modern orthodox. What does it really in the modern really mean? Modern orthodox means you could just modernize some of the things however you see fit. So, Torah says that you should listen to the sages. And the sages say that your woman has to be modest. She has to be modest on the inside. She should be modest on the outside. She has to speak modest. She has to look modest. She has to cover her body. She has to only show her beauty to her husband. But if you're modern, you don't necessarily have to listen to it according to them. You don't have to cover your hair anymore. And if you do, you can cover your hair with a wig that's longer than the exile. Yeah, but it's not modest. No, but it's modern. It's modern. It's modern modest. It's modern modest. Well, it's either modest or it's not. No, it's modern modest. Well, what about the dress over there you're about to buy? This dress may not even cover your knee. No, it's modern dress modest. But what do you mean? It's not covering yourself. The halacha is that you have to wear a skirt that is, first of all, loose-fitting. Second of all, the minimum requirement for the skirt to be modest, according to HaChachamim, is that it reaches 6 inches beyond the bottom of your knee after you sit down. The skirt that you're buying, the pencil thing that you're wearing, not only is it too tight? But worse yet, it doesn't even cover your knee when you're standing up, needless to say, when you're sitting down. How is this modest? No, Rabbi, this is modern modest. It's modern modest. Modern. What the hell is modern modest? What, don't you know? What, oh, you're one of those fanatics. You're Orthodox. No, we're modern. Nationalist. Rabboteinu, all of this is garbage. All this is not authentic. All this is against the Torah. Chazon Ish says, Nu is asur, according to the Torah. Nu, forbidden according to the Torah. Nu is forbidden according to the Torah. Why? We stick to Moshe Rabbeinu. But what happens, sometimes the difference between good and bad, the Chazon Ish says, gets blurry. Why it gets blurry? Why can't you, this is right, this is wrong? Because it's right, but I don't really want it as much as I want what's wrong. As Shlomo HaMelech says, Maim gnuvim imtaku, stolen water are sweeter. We want what's wrong, so we have to figure out how we can get some puppet to call himself a rabbi and tell me that the wrong is right. And that's what's happening, Avodah HaGer. This all starts obviously with the shepherds, the bad leaders, and so on. But unfortunately, the people that are following them and the people that are supporting them are just as much to blame. It all has to, why are they supporting them? Because it all has to do with everybody wanting to meet their desires. I had one time a guy come to me, tell me he wants to convert with his wife. I said, no problem, I'll help you, sound like a good guy. Shortly after, he tells me, listen, I already started my conversion with this other rabbi. I said, I don't think you should go with that other rabbi. He's a heretic. He brings missionaries to his synagogue. You shouldn't really go with him. He said, no, I think he's good. I think he's okay. I already started. I'm already there for a few years. Okay, do what you want. Shortly after, he comes there and said, listen, I got divorced. My wife left me. I said, okay, maybe it'll be easier for you to convert then. I'm sorry to hear that you're getting divorced, but your wife wasn't exactly too keen on converting to Judaism. He kept telling me that's the problem. He said, yeah, but okay, so yeah, I guess I'm happy that she left, but I was just hoping that it's not going to stop my conversion. I said, I don't think it should. Go back to your rabbi, see what he says. They said, no problem. Okay, good for you. Chazaku Baruch. Okay, B'ezrat Hashem, you succeed. Shortly later, I asked him, did you convert? He says, no, I didn't convert. I said, what happened? Why not? He goes, the rabbi says I need more time. I said, what do you mean you need more time? You've been learning already for a few years. You know more than most people. He goes, I don't know. Well, you just said I need more time. Okay. A week later, he comes back to me. He says, Rabbi, you're never going to believe it. I said, what happened? You're never going to believe it. I said, what happened? He says, they converted my wife, who doesn't even know what muktzeh is. But they converted her. I said, why did they convert her? He says, I don't know, but maybe it has something to do with the fact that she's dating one of the people on the board. The Gemara says, with batei din like this, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets very angry. Gets very angry. Why would such a thing happen? Desires. You think it's the first time or the last time? It's not the first time or the last time. Not the first time or the last time. The Gemara says in the Yerushalmi, Masechet Shabbat, chapter 9, Halakha number 1, 59b, also in Masechet Avodah Zarah, in the Bavli, 46a. It brings a Maaseh, the book of Joshua, chapter 8, verse number 33. It happened when Gidon died, and the children of Israel once again went astray after the Baalim, and they set Baal Brit as a god for themselves. It says that after Gidon, the leader, died, Am Yisrael went back to idolatry. But what kind of idolatry? It went to a Baal Brit. So the Chachamim and the Gemara says, what's a Baal Brit? We know what the Baal is. They used to throw the kids there, burn the kids for the sake of idolatry, all types of disgusting things. First time we're seeing Baal Brit. What's this Baal Brit as their god? What is this Baal Brit? What is the number one desire in the world? Number one desire, the Rambam says, is immorality, sexuality. When a person wants to do whatever he wants, mashebali, whatever I want to do, he knows that Judaism restricts him. He can't just marry whoever he wants. He can't just go with whoever he wants. He's restricted to even be with his own wife at a specific time. That's where the problem begins for people that want to be free, like a whale. They want to be free, like some of the idol worshippers out there. So what do? They start something new. Say, no, we're going to be religious, just a different form of religion. But in reality, you know that this is true. Why are you going somewhere else? No, maybe it's true for you. Over there it's better. It feels better for me over there. It's not that it feels better for you over there. He said, over there you can practice your desires. Am Yisrael at the time of Gidon, in the book of Judges, they knew what the Torah was. They knew what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was. But their leader died. No one was telling them what to do, how to do it. So they figured, listen, it's time to party. What do we want to do? Let's go have fun with the girls, with the boys, with the this, with the that. Yeah, but listen, what are people going to say? We're supposed to be religious people. Oh, don't worry, we got something for that. What do we have? We're going to bring Ephraim, we're going to bring Prager, we're going to bring Mesa, we're going to bring all those people, and they're going to, institute a new thing. Best yet, we're going to bring Manis, and we're going to bring the other guy, Shmuley. They're all going to tell us what to start. Well, you can meet your desires. What's the new desire? New desires, sexuality and expression and nationalism and so on. So what can we do? We'll come up with. We're going to start a new thing. What's the new thing? A nationalist idea of the Baal Brit. What's the Baal Brit? Our idol is going to be the male member at the time of erection. That was the idol in the book of Judges. Now you may be laughing, you should be throwing up at this point. Why? Because this very same disgusting idol from a few thousand years ago came back today. And it's literally in countless communities around the world, Jews and non-Jews. People are literally have turned their expression of sexuality, their immorality, their lack of control for their ability, for their needs and their wants, they've turned it into a new idol. But they don't want to say we're not religious. So what do? They tell you, listen, I'm a nationalist, I'm a modernist, I'm a dishonest, all type of ists. And that's actually what the idol was, Rabboteinu HaKadoshim. As disgusting and as demented as that sounds, that's actually what the idol was. Now, when a person does not want to stick to the system that we've had in place for the last few thousand years, it's not because the law is so difficult to understand. It's not because Shabbat is so difficult to keep and observe. It's not because the Torah is so difficult to read. It's not because kashrut is so hard to find. It's not because of all of those things. It's not. It's not because tefillin takes so much time to put on. It's not. It's because people want to express their sexuality however they feel like it. They want to be religious feminists. They want to be liberal orthodox types of people. So he wants to talk about Donald Trump and Biden at shul. And by the way, did you see the commercials? You see that girl over there? Yeah, my friend's dating her. And they start talking about this garbage in shul. Is anyone surprised why HaKadosh Baruch Hu shut down the shuls? It all has to do with lack of ability to control our desires and how to express them. Not being happy with what we have, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us. Constantly competing with the nations by having our Bnot Israel look like them, whether it's with the wigs or with the outfits and the pencil skirts and the tank tops and all this filth that is not part of our people. But you're going to say it is because you're modern. Well, Rav Wasserman says your modern is not Judaism. Simply not. If your modern deters from the Torah, it's not Judaism, it's a different religion. You could be modern Orthodox, you could be Hasidish, you could be Chabad, you could be Litvish, you could be Breslov, you could be whatever you want. Call yourself Pikachu Jew. Doesn't make a difference. The key is, do you follow Shulchan Aruch or not? If you follow it, Chazaku Baruch. You follow it, good for you. You don't follow it, you have a very serious problem. Why you have a serious problem? Because now you've started something new, something that's forbidden. And that something that's forbidden usually has a lot to do with your ability to freely express your sexual needs, desires, and so on. Just like the generation of Gidon. They wanted the ability to express their promiscuity, homosexuality, and the likes. Today, it's no different. You have entire communities or congregations that call themselves Orthodox, even though everyone, including the rabbi, are homosexual. And people think this is normal. This is not only not normal, this is not only not Orthodox, but it's 100% idol worship. Now, it doesn't mean that everyone that's homosexual shouldn't keep Shabbat. You're still obligated to keep Shabbat. But to think that that's going to be sufficient and Hashem is just simply going to not care that you're practicing something that's against Him, you have a very, very serious misunderstanding of what Torah is. Because you think that the Torah is a culture. You think that the Torah is a custom. You think that the Torah is like a universal thing, a national thing. It's none of those. Torah is laws from God. No one else. Oh, what about the rabbinical laws? They're also from God. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the rabbis of the previous generation the power to instill laws. We're not passing any new laws anymore, already for thousands of years. But nonetheless, whatever the sages put into the world, whether it be Chanukah or Purim or the Muktzeh or the Eruv, all of these things are the candles for Shabbat. Most people love those laws, but yet most people have problems with the rabbinical laws, even if they don't know what they really are. In reality, your problems are not with the rabbinical laws. Your problems are with the Torah laws that forbid you from wasting seed, forbid you from being immoral, forbid you from doing all those things, forbid you from dressing immodest. But I got to tell you something. You see, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that there are certain people that don't get the hint. Don't get the hint, and they want to live their own life the way they want, and they want to consider themselves religious anyway. And the Rambam writes in Hilchot TeShuvah, chapter 3, halakha number 6, the following individuals have no share of the world to come, meaning permanent Gehinnom. Rather, their souls are cut off, he says, and they are judged for their great wickedness and sins forever. This is the words of the Rambam. It's not Yaron Reuven. ואלו הן שאין להם חלק לעולם הבא, אלא נחרטים ועובדים ונידונים על גודל רישם וחטאם לעולם ולעולמי עולמים. That means eternal Gehinnom. People would say, no, Rambam never said eternal Gehinnom. He said it several places. I don't know what you're reading. Maybe you're reading a modern version. The one that puts all 14 books into a single book, and you think that's the Rambam, maybe. Who are these people that gets permanent Gehinnom? Minim, people that lead people astray. Apikosim, those who deny the Torah, those who deny resurrection of the dead, of the coming of the Mashiach, those who rebel against God, those who cause many to sin, those who separate themselves from the community, those who proudly commit sins in public, like the gay pride, as Yoakim did, those who betray Jews to Gentile authorities. You call the Gentile authorities against your next door neighbor, your competitor, you call the IRS, you call the police on him, you lost your Olam Haba, Habibi. Good luck getting it back. Those who cast fear upon the people for the reasons other than the service of God. Meaning you just want to scare people that, Corona is going to kill everybody. How do you know? Oh, a really reliable source told me. When did he tell you? He told me. Who's this person? Oh, I can't tell you. Okay, great. Oh, by the way, everybody needs to get water and be prepared for no electricity for 2 days. Why? There's going to be a whole revolution in America. Oh, really? Okay, well, when? Tuesday. Wow, okay, well, it's actually Tuesday, 11 p.m. in New York, in Florida. When did this revolution start? You said Tuesday. You meant Tuesday this week? You said 2 days. 2 days, that was 2 days ago. What happened? What happened? All this garbage people are spamming your mail with and your thing, what's scaring you to death. Oh, look, the plane went from here and went to there. The vaccine is killing everybody. The corona is killing everybody. Everybody's killing everybody. Bill Gates is the new God. Donald Trump is the new Pope. Biden is the new Satan. All this garbage that people are scaring people. Be very careful with that stuff. Be careful with that stuff. Why? If you're not doing it for the sake of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for sure you've lost your Olam Haba already. Good luck getting it back. You have to get it back. You have to work hard to get it back. Same story to everybody send the messages to. Why? Not good to scare people for no reason. Only not to scare them when it comes to servicing of the Torah. Servicing of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Murderers, slanderers, one who extends his foreskin as if to appear not circumcised. He wants to look like a goy. As if he has no circumcision. Who are these minim? These minim are people who say that there is no God, no ruler of the world, or they accept the concept that there's a ruler, but maintain that there are two or more, which is Christianity, or they accept that there is one master of the world, but maintains that he has a body or form, which is Christianity again, or these minim maintain that he was not the sole first being and the creator of all existence, which is many modern-minded people, especially modern-minded Jews that have no idea about Torah, so they think that evolution and science is superior to the Torah. Or one who serves the star, constellations, or other entity, so that it will serve as an intermediary between him and the eternal Lord. People tell you, no, I'm religious. Oh, so how come you have this tarot cards on your coffee table? Oh no, I need to, I do some reading. Well, it's not allowed tarot cards. No, it's fine. Okay, that's fine. How come you have that Buddha statue over there? It's an idol. No, it gives me good luck. It's good luck, but it's an idol. You're not allowed that. No, it's good luck. Okay. So how come you have, you say you're religious? How come you're reading all this fortune in the newspapers and websites? What are you doing? No, I need to know what, according, I'm a Libra, I'm a Cancer, I'm a this one, I'm a that one. I need to know what's going to happen to me this week. Which section in halacha permits you to do such a thing? You're losing your Olam Haba and you don't even realize it. 15 reasons in the morning you've already lost Olam Haba. And you think you're religious. You've turned your rabbi into a god. You've turned the community into something that it's not. What are you doing? What are you doing? Apikosim are people who deny the existence of prophecy and maintain that there's no knowledge or communicated from God to the hearts of men, or someone who disputes the prophecy of Moshe, our teacher. Sometimes you ask people, who's bigger, your rabbi or Moshe Rabbeinu? No, my rabbi, he's the Moshe Rabbeinu. Yeah, but if Moshe Rabbeinu was here and your rabbi came back from the dead and he started talking, who would you listen to? No, my rabbi never died. What do you mean? No, this died. He got buried. You go to the gravesite 18 times a week. He's dead. No, that's just a place we go visit. He's just hiding. Okay, fine. Let's say he's hiding. Him, Moshe Rabbeinu, show up. No? Who you listen to? I listen to my rabbi. Are you out of your mind? You listen to somebody over Moshe Rabbeinu? You think your rabbi is bigger than Moshe Rabbeinu? You have no Olam Haba. And you without the kippah. You have no Olam Haba. Do you understand that? I'm not talking about the secular Jew that's violating Shabbat and eating rabbits on a kibbutz. That's a different story. We already spent the first half of the shiur. We're not talking about religious people that have no concept of what basics of Judaism are, and they're literally practicing all forms of apikosut, idolatry, and minut, without even realizing it. person says that the Creator is not aware of the deeds of men, each of these individuals are apikos. Gemara also says someone that makes fun of the Chachamim is an apikos, has no share of the world to come. Someone who denies the Torah, someone who says the Torah, even one verse, the Rambam says, even one verse or one word is not from God, is an apikos. That's Dennis Prager. He's on tape saying he doesn't believe that every word from the Torah is from God. Doesn't know, he doesn't have a position of who wrote the Torah. Someone that says that Moshe Rabbeinu made these statements independently is considered as if he's denying the entire Torah. It's considered apikos, has no share of the world to come. Someone who denies the Torah's interpretation, meaning the oral law, he doesn't agree with the sages of the Gemara, he doesn't agree with the Mishnah. That's apikos, has no share of the world to come. One who says that though the Torah came from God, the Creator has replaced one mitzvah with another and nullified the original Torah, like the Arabs and the Christians. These people are considered apikosim, idol worshipping, and so on. Each of these individuals is considered one who denies the entire Torah. None of them have a share of the world to come. People always ask me, oh, do Christian people have a share of the world to come? I said, not if they stay Christian. Not if they stay Christian. Now the tough part. Halakha number 10 in section 3 of Hilchot TeShuvah. Who else doesn't have a share of the world to come? Those who cause many to sin, which includes those who cause them to commit a severe sin like Yerovam, Tzadok, Baitus, and also those who cause them to commit a slight sin, even the nullification of a positive mitzvah. It includes both those who force others to sin like Menashe, who would kill Jews if they didn't worship idols, and those who entice others and lead them astray like an immodest woman that walks around enticing men to look at her. This is considered, Rabbotai, a very big problem. Why? If you're a woman, walk around immodest, you're causing people to sin. And unfortunately, your beauty is your venom for yourself and for your victims. And a person that does not pay attention to these things could literally lose their olam haba and go to a place where they can't get themselves out of. Now you think that this is an exaggeration, we just read the Rambam. But if that's not enough for you, we could also look at other places. Look at Rabboteinu Yonah. Rabboteinu Yonah in Igeret TeShuvah, in page 68, section 78, says, וצריכה אישה תהיה צנועה ונזהרת שלא יסתכלו בה בני האדם חוץ מבעלה, שהמסתכלים בפניה ובידיה יורדים לגיהנום, והיא עונשה בעונש על כל אחד ואחד מהם, מפני שהחטיאה אותם ולא נהגה צניעות בעצמה ונכשלו בה. A woman must be modest, Rabboteinu Yonah says 800 years ago. She must be modest and make sure that she does not attract people to look at her. If she's modest and people look at her anyway, that's not her problem. But Baruch Hashem, Hashem takes care of everybody. If you're modest, Hashem is going to make sure people don't look at you in an inappropriate way. And women that have changed their life tell me this all the time. I don't know what happened, but everybody used to look at me. Now, I think I look prettier, more modest, more classy, but people have respect for me. People have respect for me. I don't know what happened. So that's Kedusha. Kedusha is following you. Don't worry. Rabboteinu Yonah says a woman that's not modest causes men to look at her. Men that are not her husband. Whether they're looking at her face or they're looking at her hands, and needless to say, at other parts, Rabboteinu Yonah says. He's not talking about a woman that has no arms and no legs, as the Gemara says. No arms and no legs means she has no covering of her arms and she has no covering of her legs. Says the Gemara says, woman with no arms and no legs, not allowed to look at her. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? She has no arms and no legs. Why would you even look at her? Because no arms and no legs means she's not covering her arms, she's not covering her legs. Meaning she's immodest, like a prostitute, a pritzut. Oh, okay, no look. Okay, fine. Rabboteinu HaKadoshim doesn't even go into that. He says even if she gets people to look at her face or her hands, meaning small things, everyone that's going to look at her is going to go down to Gehenom, and she will go down to Gehenom for each and every single person that she brought down to Gehenom. Because she is the one that caused them to sin, because she did not act with modesty. And they failed because of her. What does it mean failed? They ended up wasting seed. They ended up wasting seed, and our Chachamim tell us, when a man wastes seed, Rabboteinu HaKadoshim, he is making extraordinary sins. What kind of extraordinary sins? The Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, section 151, says it's forbidden to waste seed in vain, to emit seed in vain. And the sin is more severe than any other sins in the Torah. And regarding those who commit perversions with the hand and emit semen in vain, not only have they committed a grave sin, but one who does this is actually in a state of nidui, which is a form of excommunication. Hashem excommunicates him because he's wasting seed. You caused him to waste seed, you're in excommunication also. And about this it's written in Yeshayahu 1:15, your hands are replete with blood. And for one who does this, the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch brings, this is considered as if he's killing a living soul. And look what Rashi has written about this in Parashat Vayeshev. Regarding Er ve'Onan, the sons of Yehudah, they died on the account of this specific sin. Sometimes as punishment for this sin, heaven forbid, a person's children die when they are young because the father is wasting seed. Or the kids turn wicked because the father wastes seed. And additionally, he comes to a state of poverty. The Kitzur Shulchan Aruch quotes. The Reshit Chochmah, the Shar Kedusha, the Shla, the Shar Osiyot, and many other places. He says the person that wastes seed comes to a state of poverty. And even if he's still rich, that means that he was supposed to be a lot richer. But nonetheless, he'll eventually lose everything he has. The whole section 151, if you have Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, I highly recommend you go into it. Why? Because a person that does not know what kind of problem he's causing himself with wasting seed could literally waste seed for his entire life without realizing that he's going to Gehenom and he's not coming out of there. Now, the girl that caused him to waste seed, she enticed him in one way or the other, whether on video, audio, or in person, or whatever it is. She's going to Gehenom with him. Why? Because it's measure for measure. A person who wastes seed, he's going to Gehenom. She has to go to Gehenom. Okay, well, how do I get out of this situation? Well, first and foremost, you have to do TeShuvah. Okay, can I just stop and that's it? That's not enough. Why? You have to get all the hostages out of the jail. What hostages? The Chachamim in the Sifrei Kabbalah tell us that every time a person wastes seed, all of the souls that were supposed to come from that seed are now hostages of the Sitra Achra. And they remain hostages of the Sitra Achra until they're freed one way or the other. Which means that in order for you to clean up your future, you have to clean up your past. You have to do TeShuvah. So first and foremost, the person has to stop. Second of all, they have to make sure they put around a fence around themselves where they don't continue sinning. They learn about the subject. Third and most important, they have to say, I'm sorry to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They have to learn a lot of Torah to the point of sweating, to the point of exerting themselves for the sake of Torah. If they can teach Torah, that's also a big tikkun. Say Kriyat Shema before they go to sleep. Make sure that they give a lot of tzedakah being anonymous. Publicize anything you possibly can. Support anything you possibly can when it comes to tikkun habrit. whether it's our movie or other campaigns that have something to do with tikkun abrit, do whatever you can. Why? You need the tikkunim. You have to do tikkun. Man or woman. Man or woman. People sometimes say, listen, okay, I wasn't exactly so pure when I was younger. I only had about 25, 30 boyfriends before I got married. And, I made some sins. Okay, great. So what exactly do you want me to do? I mean, I can't make it for you. I can't fix them for you. You have to fix it yourself. Okay, yeah, listen. So what am I doing? I'm gonna send $150 to the campaign. I said, okay, chazaka ubucha, but you're gonna do that monthly? You're gonna do that weekly? You're gonna do it daily? No. I thought maybe if I sell $100, it's enough. No, just to fix everything. You actually thought that? You actually thought you could fix your whole past sinning with 25, 30, 50, 100 people? You think that you could fix it with $100? I mean, if that's all you have to your whole life savings, it's very possible that Hashem's going to have mercy on you, and somehow that $100 is going to magnify, and it's going to literally save thousands of people somehow. But the reality is, most likely, you have a lot more than that. You have a job, you have an income, you have different things, and you can probably do a lot more. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows that you have more because He's the one that gave it to you. And you have to make sure that you do as much as you can to take this seriously. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not want to punish you. Does not want to punish you. Some of your past crimes still have hostages. Still have hostages in the sitracha. It all starts, Rabotai, with allowing foreign thoughts into our mind that there is something different from authentic Judaism that could be right. Whether that's modern orthodoxy, Dati Leumi, Reform, conservative, Christianity, Islam, all of that stuff, it's all the same. It's all the same, more or less, as far as being different. Now, of course, there's less, some of them have less sins, but nonetheless, for all intents and purposes of what we discussed today, you have an understanding that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has one Torah. If your belief, whatever you call it, Pikachu Judaism, whatever you call it, is different from the Torah, you've modernized things, you've nationalized things, and those nationalized things and modernized things are actually against the Torah, you have, my friend, a different religion. So allowing yourself to go into that world is destroying your world. Is destroying your world. And usually the only reason why people go into there is not because it makes more sense. It's because it's more pleasing to them, because it allows them to fulfill their desires. Just like the generation of Gidon, they want to fulfill their immoral desires of sexuality and so on. So they said their God is a male member. Or the generation of the Bet Mikdash, they wanted to fulfill their desires of being with the Goyot, so they said the idols were their God. Or the generation of anyone else. Today, in the past, it's all desires, Rabotai. You have to be real with yourself and know, even if you can't bring yourself to follow the entire Torah, that does not give you permission to say that something else is right. Face the facts. Know the Torah is only one of it. This is the right way. This is the halacha. If you're failing, try again tomorrow. You failed again tomorrow, try again the next day. You failed again the next day, try again and again and again and again until you succeed. Don't ever go somewhere else and say, oh, at least I'm doing something else. No, there is no at least. It's either you do it right or you don't do anything. Why? Because whatever else you're doing is going to make things worse. Now, I know some people are going to disagree with me. No, it's at least good if they go to shul, even if they drive on Shabbat. It's not good. Why? Because the longer you do these wrong things, the more you're going to come to terms with them and start thinking that it's good. It's just a different truth. There is no different truth. There's true and there's lie. You stick with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, His sages, His Torah, that's the truth. Moshe Rabbeinu was not modern Orthodox, I promise you. He was not modern Orthodox. He was not practicing modern Orthodoxy. He's not practicing Dati Leumi. You stick to what Moshe Rabbeinu did. You do what he did, you're going to succeed in life. You do what Sarai Imenu did, you're going to succeed in life. You do what Am Yisrael has been doing for 3,000 years, and that's the reason we won the war, you're going to win. You do what these eaters of rabbits and pigs do, you'll end up creating demons that look like rabbits and pigs. just like the Reshit Chochmah says and many other books say, with all of the immorality crimes. Please, Rabbotai, I say this not to scare you, but to warn you. To warn you from yourself, to warn you from your desires, to warn you from the people that remind you of the desires that you have, or perhaps tell you about desires that you don't have yet, because they want you to have it, because misery likes company. Please, Rabbotai, take care of your neshama. Take care of your neshama. Take care of your neshama. It's very precious. It's something that's supposed to last eternity. When you give it the Torah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave, it'll last eternity. When you give it something else, your form of Torah, your form of wisdom, your heresy, your desires, and not HaKadosh Baruch Hu's, you're killing it. Even if it sometimes feels good. All the crack addicts and the cocaine addicts and all the people that overdosed, they all felt good a few moments before they died. Please, Rabbotai, don't kill your neshama. It's precious. I would love to see it living in eternity. Be'ezrat Hashem, we all live to eternity. Bring others with us by keeping HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah, by keeping HaKadosh Baruch Hu's mitzvot, by keeping HaKadosh Baruch Hu's word, and never ever allowing ourselves to think that there's anything else that could be true. Even if that means we're failing right now at practicing the truth, accepting failure of the truth is much better than accepting falsehood as true. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen v'Amen.
You know when you have a dream and you see a pretty woman? You've had that? Now you never actually see an ugly woman in dreams. It's always a pretty woman. And by the way, it's always the same woman for all of us. All of us have a dream of the same exact woman. And she's more dangerous than the Satan himself. Who is she? Not even allowed to say her name. Why are you going to call her for?
People are addicted to it.
I live a normal life.
Repent and you will find salvation.
Hashem Naaseh v'Natzliach, Avodah HaGer, introducing the new Be'ezrat Hashem lecture center. We, Baruch Hashem, are here in Cooper City, Florida, on Sterling Avenue. We have, in the same shopping center, we have a major kosher supermarket, lots of Jews out here. Initially, we're going to start off this place next month with the place where we can do our weekly shulim 3 times a week. And as Hashem, as the crowd grows, maybe we'll add some more shulim in Hebrew as well. Initially, it's going to be for men and women in English, and then later on, Hashem will do some other things. Later on, we're going to need to transform this place also into a synagogue. But as you can see, the walls are empty. We need an enormous amount of books. We need a Sefer Torah. We need an Aron Kodesh. We need a mechitza. We need a bima. We need all the holy things that you need for a synagogue. Now, throughout the years, we've been very generous to other people. We've donated to Torah. We've donated money to different synagogues. And I'm sure that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to send us the right people to donate all of these things to our organization, because all we want to do is spread Torah to the world. So anyone that is serious and looking to make a major contribution to our organization, whether it be the Sefer Torah or the Aron HaKodesh or the Mechitza, please contact us or simply go to our website, be'ezrathashem.org, and may Hashem continue to bless you.